Picked up on the streets of Moscow, videotaped wearing an almost comical-looking wig. A man Russia's counterintelligence agency says is CIA spy Ryan Fogel. The Russians say he was trying to recruit a double agent from one of Russia's special services. The FSB says it detained Fogel briefly, then handed him over to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, where it says he held the position of third secretary. That embassy, its ambassador, not commenting. The CIA's not commenting. The State Department confirms someone at its embassy was briefly held, but otherwise,
we have no further comment at this time.
Russia's foreign ministry said, quote, such provocative action in the spirit of the Cold War does not contribute to building mutual trust. The Russians also displayed some items they say Fogel was carrying: wigs, a knife, dark glasses, envelopes full of cash, what appears to be a Moscow map book. When we showed counterintelligence expert Eric O'Neill those pictures and the video, he said the man ID'd as Fogel could be a CIA officer, but he said this isn't spycraft, it's stagecraft.
I very much doubt that a highly trained CIA operative is going to be walking the streets of Moscow wearing a really bad blonde wig. It's poor tradecraft, and it looks like a setup to me.
O'Neill believes the Russians likely planted that material on Fogel for dramatic effect, maybe to stir up anti-American sentiment, achieve a political objective, or distract attention from some other matter. O'Neill is a former FBI counterintelligence officer who took down FBI agent Robert Hanssen, who was spying for the Russians. O'Neill says the tactic of planting material on a spy is a trademark of Russian President Vladimir Putin, himself a former KGB officer. O'Neill says the U.S. intelligence agencies have much better disguise training than what was displayed in Moscow. He says they teach you depart only slightly from your normal look. Wear sunglasses, maybe a ball cap on backwards. Now, when I told an official here at the Russian embassy in Washington of O'Neill's belief that the Moscow pickup was a setup, I got a stiff no comment. O'Neill says if the Russians really believed Fogel was recruiting a Russian double agent, then rounding up Fogel was a mistake.
They want to pick up the person he's recruiting. He's irrelevant. Actually, it's better for them to keep him in place because they know that he is potentially a spy and they can watch him in order to catch the Russians.
O'Neill says all the Russians have done by detaining this man, who they call Fogel, is ruin his career. The Russians have deemed him persona non grata, meaning he will have to return to the U.S., and if he does work for the CIA, O'Neill says it's unlikely he'll ever be able to work undercover again, even in another country. O'Neill says the different security agencies are all going to now know what his face looks like. Wolf.